after being out there for just one training session with less than 2 days to go. James Tedesco has a captain's run with the team, of course led by Jake Trbojevic, as Dylan Edwards misses out on his Origin debut for now at least and watches on from the stands. A remarkable set of circumstances, this one, Gus. Can only imagine what that phone call was like. One, to hear what had happened to Dylan, but then have to call James Tedesco and break the news to him that, hey, mate, you're back from the dead.
Yeah, look, it's a perfect person to call in this occasion, with this type of scenario. First thing, I feel badly for Dylan Edwards, who's worked so hard to get that jersey and then to lose it in a training session. But if they have to make a replacement this late in the piece and bring in a like for like, well, you've got Tedesco. They're virtually the same player. You know, it's just a younger version, Dylan Edwards, than James Tedesco. And I guess that's why this fella got the nod, because of his recent form. But James will slot in pretty easily. Actually, it'll suit him better to come in late rather than having to put up with all the other stuff they go through early in the camp. I think he'll just enjoy coming in under the radar, and he'll go out and do his job, and nothing will change. Absolutely nothing will change in the New South Wales preparation, their game plan or the style of play that they'll play. It's pretty much plug in, plug out, like for like.
How unlucky is Dylan Edwards? I mean, look, I picked Teddy in my original team, but then you get over it, you have your debates for a day or two, then you start to totally support the team. And, you know, Dylan Edwards, just a guy thoroughly deserves his opportunity. I've never heard of him having a muscle strain. Honestly, he must run 25 Ks every week. He runs hundreds and hundreds of metres every single game, and they get a muscle strain a few days before the game. Just terrible bad luck. But I'll tell you what I do sense. I sense a bit of nervousness from the Queenslanders. Ooh. Well, for Daly Cherry to come out today and say he's nervous, and for a couple of their officials and one of their former greats to come out and say, well, have an opinion on it. When someone from New South Wales had an opinion on the Queensland team, it's treated as disrespect. They carry on about how we disrespect them, but if they're all right for them and their officials to have an opinion on James Tedesco and how he got dropped and now he's back in the side, I thought that was pretty poor.
Weren't they saying that he's not welcome, or that he would, or he'd feel uncomfortable?
They said that he'd feel uncomfortable, which I don't think he will at all. I agree with Gus. I think it's a perfect slot in, slot out. He'll be fine. James Tedesco is a team-first man. He's played 22 games for the Blues. The fact he's not the captain anymore, I saw a story you wrote about how happy he is for Jake Trbojevic and how much he's going to go in and support him. So you couldn't have a more perfect bloke for this to happen to, as Gus said. He's just going to slot straight in. He's a team man, and I find it really frustrating this time. And I love this time here, don't get me wrong, I love it. But I just find it really frustrating how Queenslanders carry on about how we can be disrespectful. Yet it's okay for them to comment on us.
I love it. Little sledge across the border. Nice and early too. Denny, tell me about the scuttle side of things. You were in camp with the Blues. How did it all sort of unfold from the initial murmurs that Dylan might be hurt?
Well, the way I operate, I plant myself in the team hotel and just wait for things to happen when
just after training. And just...
Yeah, well, we weren't allowed to watch training because Madge, under Michael Maguire, the Blues say you can't watch their training sessions.
Okay.
So we were back in the hotel and we got a bit of a tip-off saying, look, something could be happening, which was good of the Blues. Michael Maguire came up and talked to myself and another journalist and said, listen, there's a chance he's got a quad injury that could rule him out. We're going to put James Tedesco on standby. And as the day evolved and time went on, and the next morning they snuck Dylan Edwards out for a scan. They said originally they weren't going to scan him. They snuck him out early. We were up early watching for him. We didn't see him leave there's a back exit from the accommodation they had.
Of course there is.
And we came back pretty early. I saw the doctors gathering at around 8:30 Sunday morning. And you knew something was happening around that time. And Michael Maguire came up and said, look, he's out. But before that, I received a tip-off from the Roosters that James Tedesco had been pulled out of their game against the Cowboys. I went to Madge with that and he said, yep, that's right. And Dylan, unfortunately, is out. It's a strain. Happened, as you know, during doing extras, which is really unfortunate. I spoke to players and they said they rode in the team bus back from that training session and they noticed nothing. People in that same bus with Dylan, he had a little bit of ice on the quad and they said they didn't think anything was up. And later in the day, he had a compression bandage on the area as well, which we saw. Didn't make a lot of it, but obviously there was more to it.
We spoke to Denny. Denny broke this to us on radio, and when they said they're not going to scan it, I said, oh, look, he must be fine. These days they scan everything straight away and they find out exactly what's wrong pretty quickly. But for them not to scan it, he must have known pretty much straight away he wasn't going to be right, because generally they scan things straight away and they'll come up with a decision within hours. But to wait till the next day was a bit strange for me, but I think Dylan would have known himself.
Gal mentioned the discontent in the Queensland side of things, that this is a player, Teddy, coming in from outside of the initial squad, Gus. Do you see any problem with that? And would there have been any thought to perhaps throw Stephen Crichton back there and Matt Burton goes into the centres?
No, there's no rule about who can come in and who can't come out when you name your squad. You just got to get there Wednesday night with a team. We might change it 3 times between now and then.
Well, they do.
Yeah, why they do it all the time?
They had to get the commission approval, I believe. They had to speak to the commission to make sure it's all okay.
And that's a formality.
Yeah, the commission approved it.
But why wouldn't they approve? Why would you have to ask for permission anyway?
They're carrying on that they didn't pick it out of the 20. So they named a 20-man squad. They're carrying on.
That's a club rule.
100%.
That's not Origin
I agree
rule.
with you. I'm on your side
That's
this time, Gus. I agree. And the commission approved it, and he's in there. Get on with it.
All right, Gal.
I think they're nervous.
Gal, tell me this then. If Teddy has a blinder Wednesday and Dylan Edwards is fit for game 2, what happens?
Depends on the result. It all depends on the result. If New South Wales get the job done, they won't change the team. Barring suspension and injury, HIA, head knock, some of that, if they win the game, I can't see them changing the team. Why would they? Why would they change a winning team for?
Yeah.
I didn't notice them being overly rattled either, Gus, which was good. When it was all going on, they seemed quite calm about it. They knew what they were doing, which is a good sign, rather than there was no real sign of panic in the team, which was good.
As soon as you said it was a quad injury or a quad strain, I said, yeah, he'll be out.
Yeah,
he won't
you did,
play.
yeah.
And that was long before they'd had a scan. You can't mess with that. I've always said you can play with virtually anything above the waist. Any injury above the waist, a player will grit his teeth and do it. It's hard to play with injuries below the waist, and these quads can get quite nasty. And I'd imagine the Panthers wouldn't want him going around with a strain in a quad in an Origin game because it could lead to 10 or 12 weeks if they do it really badly. So, common sense has prevailed, and they know they've got the perfect replacement anyway. This is not a club team. This is an Origin team. You just go out and get another good player. I mean, you can pick them any time you like. We brought Matt Gidley in on the day of the game. I can remember we had a player with food poisoning, and Matt Gidley, we rang him up in Newcastle. He'd already trained with his team in the morning and was out playing golf. Came in at lunchtime, scored a try, was nearly man of the match. Talk about preparation.
Oh, I love it. What about the Roosters side of things? Because I think a lot of it publicly, I've heard from Trent Robinson saying, yes, this is how it all played out. More than happy for Teddy to go in there and be a part of the Blues side. Is it as happy families as it sounds between the Blues and the Roosters, though, Denny?
No. Right. Frank Panisi, the manager of the Blues, was very grateful that the Roosters have been so helpful with Luke Keary. They allowed him to stay the full week to be a cover for Nico Hines. Obviously, he was the other major injury concern during the week. And then, obviously, the Teddy thing pulling him out on game day. And Trent Robinson came up with all that, and he's fine. I think Roosters management are not so fine, particularly because they got rock and roll by the Cowboys in a game which could cost them towards the end of the year.
That's what it comes down to. Because, look, at the end of the day, clubs want Origin players. Clubs want Origin players until something actually happens around Origin that doesn't suit them. They all want to have 3, 4, 5 rep players in their side because to win a competition, you probably need that many. Yes. And then you need another group of players who just go there and do their job. But when something happens, that's when they blow up. So, look, I think they'll get over it pretty quickly. I don't think the coach will have a problem with it, as you said.
Trent Robinson's, he was obviously front and centre of all this, and he was okay with it. I just think Roosters management are not okay.
Well, they may, but I mean, as I said, they want rep players at their club.
Yep.
That's what they generally go and buy rep players. So, look, it's going to happen at some stage, and unfortunately, it happened to them. I can't blame James Tedesco not being there for the weekend. They still could have won that game.
Is Origin the priority from the club's perspective in this scenario?
Yeah, I've always had that attitude. I want the players playing Origin, and you're going to need 6 Origin players, at least 5 or 6 Origin players in your lineup to win a comp. So the more experience they get there, the better. If you've got 5 or 6 Origin players in your side, then you should be hopping on one leg to get to the finals. I mean, the finals shouldn't be a problem for you if you've got that many Origin players, current Origin players, in your lineup. So, yeah, I mean, it hurts when you lose and you haven't got your Origin players at your disposal, but no excuses for the Roosters yesterday. Crikey, they took on a depleted side that were missing quite a few themselves. And Tedesco, well, they were bleeding a week ago that he didn't make the side. Now he's in and they're unhappy about it, so I don't know how you please.
Oh, you've got to love it. Rugby League continues to produce.